Hello, everyone. Today, we're going to look at two really powerful stories from two incredible women, Zitgala Sa and Bama. They came from completely different parts of the world, but both wrote about their childhoods and how they stood up to injustice, planting the seeds for a lifetime of fighting back.
So, just imagine this for a second. On one hand, you have a young Native American girl in the late 1800s who's been taken far away from her home. And on the other, a young Tamil Dalit girl in the 1960s, just walking home from school. They lived decades and whole continents apart, but you're about to see how their stories of being hurt and finding courage share a deep, powerful connection.
So who were these amazing women? Well, there's Zitgala Sa, who was a writer and an activist for Native American rights. And then there's Bama, a famous writer from the Tamil Dalit community. Both of them used their own life stories to shine a light on the unfairness they saw in the world.
You know, both of their stories start in a really similar way, with this feeling of complete shock and confusion. We're going to start right there, at that moment when each girl suddenly comes face to face with a strange, new, and pretty scary world.
For Zitgala Sa, her first day at the Carlisle Indian School was just chaos. It was a total shock to her system. Imagine hearing loud, clanging bells all day when you're used to quiet, or having your comfortable moccasins replaced with squeaky, hard shoes. The strangest part for her was what she called eating by formula. A bell would ring to pull out your chair, another bell to sit down. It was so confusing and unnatural that it just brought her to tears.
Okay, now let's jump over to Bama's world. For her, the walk home from school was usually the best part of her day. It was full of fun things to see. She'd take her time, watching snake charmers and street performers. The whole walk was like a little adventure. And on one of these walks, she saw something that she thought was just the funniest thing ever. An older man from her neighborhood was carrying a small packet of food, but he was holding it only by the string, way out in front of him, making sure the packet didn't touch his body. To her, it looked so silly, and she just couldn't wait to run home and tell her big brother all about it.
And this is where everything changes for both girls. It's the moment where that childhood fun and innocence just shatters, and they learn the true, painful meaning behind all these strange things they're seeing.
Zitgala Sa's friend runs up to her with a warning. The pale-faced woman was going to cut off all their long, beautiful hair. Now you have to understand, this wasn't just a haircut. In her culture, only cowards or captured warriors had their hair cut short. It was a deep, terrible symbol of shame.
At the same time, when Bama tells her brother the funny story, his face gets very serious, and that changes everything. He explains that it wasn't a game. The man was carrying the food like that because their family was from a lower caste, and the upper caste landlord believed he would become polluted or dirty if someone from their community touched the food packet. In an instant, Bama's laughter just vanished. She felt sad and then very, very angry.
And this right here really gets to the heart of it. For Zitgala Sa, it was the cutting of her hair. For Bama, it was a packet of food held by a string. I mean, they seem like completely different things, right? But both were used for the exact same reason: to humiliate them, to make them feel ashamed of who they were.
You can just feel Bama's anger in her own words. The idea that people thought she and her community were so low that they couldn't even touch a package of food, it made her furious. It was a huge insult, not just to her, but to everyone she knew and loved.
So what do you do with all that anger and hurt? Well, both girls decided to fight back. They refused to just accept this unfairness. But as you'll see, they chose very different ways to resist, based on their situations and the people around them.
Zitgala Sa's reaction is instant. She decides to run. She creeps away silently, finds a dark, empty room, and crawls under a bed, hiding herself in the deepest corner she can find.
And this is basically her declaration of war. Even when her friend says they have to give in because the grown-ups are stronger, Zitgala Sa says no. She will not submit. She will struggle first. This isn't just the little kid hiding. It's a brave act of rebellion.
Sadly, her fight ends in defeat. They find her. They drag her out, kicking and scratching, and tie her tightly to a chair. She describes feeling the cold scissors gnawing off her thick braids. And in that moment, she says she lost her spirit. She felt like she wasn't a person anymore, just one of many little animals being controlled.
Now, let's look at the completely different path offered to Bama. Her brother, Annan, doesn't tell her to fight with her fists. He gives her a different kind of weapon, her mind. He tells her that if they study hard and learn as much as they can earn respect and throw away all this unfair treatment.
And Bama took his words straight to heart. She poured all of her sadness and anger into her schoolwork. She decided to rebel with her brain. And you know what? It worked. By studying like crazy and coming first in her class, she made people see her, not just the community she came from. People wanted to be her friend, which was a huge victory against the unfair rules that were meant to keep her separate. So, when you look at these two stories side by side, what's the big takeaway? Well, these weren't just sad things that happened to them as kids. These were the moments that lit a fire inside of them, a fire that fueled their life's work as writers and activists.
And this is really the heart of it all. It shows us that whether you choose to fight back by hiding under a bed or by becoming the top student in your class, that powerful desire to fight for your own dignity is so often born in these early, painful moments. The hurt they felt didn't break them. It made them strong.
And that kind of leaves us with something to think about, doesn't it? Most of us haven't gone through what Zitgala Sa and Bama did, but we've all had those moments as kids, big or small, that taught us what's fair and what isn't. So the question is, how have those moments shaped the person you are today?